All right, hello. This is my version of Aaron Francis's this week, next week. I'm calling this push pop because I am a programmer and pushing and popping seems like a good thing. We're pushing stuff onto the start of next week and we're popping stuff off of the end of last week. So we are for those of you who don't know, I'm organizing, running, emceeing, whatever you want the wording to be, Laracon Australia, which is happening not this Thursday, but next Thursday for Ian and Aaron. Um, so this week was supposed to be a push for me, my lunch breaks to start finalizing a lot of the bits and pieces, polish my talk. I was supposed to have a day off work yesterday. So today's Saturday, but time zones. So yesterday I was going to have the day off work to finalize my talk. So I'm doing a 15-minute sort of welcome to Laracon introduction kind of thing, a bit of housekeeping, bit of why are we doing Laracon kind of thing, because I think that gets lost a little bit amongst we've got Europe and US and India now and Laracon Online and Laracon Australia all back. So I think I just wanted to kind of really refocus what and why we're doing Laracon. And so my plan was to work on that this week. But last Sunday, we got a message from our kids' childcare that they had three teachers test positive for COVID, which is, what you want. 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from a conference that you're organizing. And so, we kept an eye on it. Uh, my eldest kind of started barking like the most atrocious cough that evening. So he woke up at 4 o'clock Monday morning and was like crying, my throat doesn't work, my throat doesn't work. And we tested him a bit later on and he was positive. So we were all home all week. So my wife and I were sort of playing tag. I was watching the kids in the morning while, no, I was working while she watched the kids in the morning and then we swapped in the afternoon. So we did that all week. My youngest was okay until Wednesday. She tested positive, and so this got a bit stressful because it's like, um, I don't want to get sick now because we're so close to the conference. I can't, in good conscience, get on a plane. Um, being sick, you don't want to spread. You don't want to be the reason for it. Especially we've got a new subvariant kicking around at the moment. So we're kind of in this, like, the kids have been okay. They don't know that they're sick beyond a cough. Like, they're just bouncing off the walls all day. So it's been very exhausting for Rhea and I got none of any of my Laracon prep done, really. I didn't take the day off yesterday. I thought there's probably not much reason taking the day off to do the talk when I need to sort of help out with looking after the kids. So my week kind of got a bit thrown out. So yeah, that was this week. Not a lot got done. I managed to do a lot of the branding bits and pieces. So I had to send the artwork off to printers for signage for the venue. So we got that all finalized, approved, off to print. That'll go straight to the venue. We got the name badges all finalized, sent those names off to the printer as well. So all of that stuff was kind of key to get out of the way this week, and in the absence of anything else, that got done. So happy that's done, um, and that puts us in good stead for next week. So next week is the last week, kind of before I head off to Sydney. So Ree and myself and the kids will be on a plane on the 13th of November flying, and we will be in Sydney for a couple of days before just to have a bit of a recharge, spend a bit of time. My sister-in-law is coming as well to help Rhea out while the conference is running, just so that she's not run ragged by the kids. So I suppose this week, Tuesday, I've moved my day off from last Friday to Tuesday, and so that'll be crunch time for me to really nail the talk, get a few reps in practicing, and kind of get all of that ready to go. Um, that is my main focus for next week. Outside of work, my 9 to 5. Um, Work has been interesting where we've got this multi-tenanted, multi-database application, and we kind of have multiple layers of multi-tenancy. So we've got the tenants on subdomains themselves with their own database isolation, and then within the tenants, we've got the notion of groups or teams. And so this was kind of something that was built before I started, and the more time has gone by, the more we've kind of realized it's not something that we actually need. And so my main project at work at the moment is to kind of merge all of those databases down into one. So that's been a bit of an interesting approach. We thought it'd be fairly straightforward to sort of change all of the databases to use snowflakes as their primary keys. So snowflakes is, I think, a Twitter invention where it's basically uses the timestamp and some other randomness in order to generate um, multi-data center unique keys. So we're not multi-data center, but we've got these kind of multiple tenants that we need to re-index and then merge into a single database in such a way that we don't have collisions between user IDs and application IDs and all of the other resources that go along with that. So the thought was we would foreign key everything, change the definitions. There's some Laravel 6 era stuff there where the primary keys are actually unsigned integers. Laravel now does everything as unsigned big integers, and we need unsigned big integers for snowflakes because they're otherwise too big for an integer field. So rekey everything, drop all the foreign key, sorry, drop all the foreign keys, rekey everything, and then reintroduce the foreign keys, right? And that'll be like phase one. Phase two is then to then put the snowflakes in. And then phase three will be to merge the databases together, which, assuming phase one and phase two go fine, phase three will be easy. But we're running into some issues. We're using MySQL, which we found out does not support deferred foreign key constraints. So there are a couple of tables that we have groups and users and applications that have this self-referencing. So a user can be created by another user. And because of that, we can't actually update the foreign key because it won't cascade onto the table itself because it sees, it's in use. So we've had to kind of not introduce the foreign keys there so we can later kind of renumber them and then add the foreign keys at the end. So we've got those constraints. So that's been another thing that's been going on. So that'll continue into next week. I'm hoping to get the first phase kind of shipped to production, which is getting the database changes to introduce unsigned big integers across everything that we need to, and then putting those foreign key constraints in place. So we've tested that multiple times. It should theoretically be fine. We're not changing any of the application structure. So the next thing will be to use a package from Chris. Daniel Colborn actually pointed me in this direction that handles the snowflake. So we were just going to use a generic PHP package, but this one has got some Laravel niceties. It's got a facade. It's got a trait that we can attach to our models so that those will automatically get snowflake. So these are all kinds of things that I was going to do manually, but now don't have to because that package is already there. So the less code I have to write to kind of get this going, the better. So that'll be work this week. It'll be a shortened week. Tuesday I've got to do this Laracon prep, and then Friday I've got to be in the office. We do these work in trimesters, so we've got an end of trimester, start of trimester kind of celebration across the whole company. So going in to celebrate that. Yeah, so that's my push pop. Yeah. The other thing that I've been playing around with, I've got all of this stuff, right? I've got this DJI Osmo Pocket. I got this DJI mic thing, which is attached to me. I'm trying to figure out different ways that we can kind of do Vox Pop. So this is Vox Populi at Laracon. So we're going to speak with our attendees to say, why are you here? What are you enjoying? Those kinds of things, to do a bit of a sizzle reel kind of thing for Laracon, which I think would be a little bit of fun. Just something to, remember the conference by. Because if there's one thing that not having done Laracon for 4 years has kind of reminded me of, is that you kind of forget what that experience is all about. And it's not just about the talks; it's about the people that you meet and the conversations you have and all of that kind of energy. So, looking forward to that. Figuring all of that out. Gonna have some great volunteers on the ground to help me out because I can't, as much as I'd like to do everything. You've got to kind of let some things go to other people so that you can focus on different things. So yeah, that's my prep for the next week, making sure all of the speakers are looked after. Uber for Business is fantastic. If you've never used that, you can. It's got like a central dashboard, so I can for each of the speakers, basically put their phone number in, their name and the number, and say like on this day, Daniel Colborn is arriving in Australia. So when he gets here, anytime up until midnight on that day, he can just, whenever he's ready, whenever he's cleared customs, got his bags ready to go, he can just call an Uber and ready to go. So this is kind of to make sure that the speakers end up at the right hotel, um, because there are like 4 or 5 in Sydney that are of the same um, organization. And so, you want to make sure that they end up at the right place after traveling. So Uber for Business, if you ever need to schedule stuff, travel for people, because there's obviously hundreds of conference organizers out there. But yeah. So that is Push Pop. It was a bit rambly. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I just put the camera on to record and went from there. So yeah, see you next week.